What is up, everybody? It is Og here, back with another video. In today's video, we're going through the ZF AoE farm post AoE cap. So I've been going through a lot of different videos on my channels about the different AoE farms post AoE cap to see if they had any effect because of the AoE cap, if they're still possible, and if they're still going to be really good to do in TBC. So I have, Mara, SM, ZG, etc. on my channel if you guys want to check out those videos as well. But today we're going to touch on ZF. ZF is one of the original AoE farms that mages were doing in classic WoW, just as a Flame Strike, Cone of Cold, Arcane Explosion kind of kiting around strategy for a long time, and then eventually the Blizzard strategy that was evolved from there. It can still net some really good gold, and it's actually one of the best raw gold farms for mages right now because of Flasks of the Mojo. If you guys didn't know, Flasks of the Mojo are going to be used in jewel crafting, and so they should sell pretty well as we move forward closer and closer to TBC. Not a guarantee, but there's probably some mages stacking up on them right now, but hopefully it'll be a nice little gold boost for mages who have been farming ZF. So for those of you who are not aware of the AoE cap, basically Blizzard changes things in TBC. Currently there's no AoE cap, so for blizzarding 100 mobs or 500 mobs, we're doing the maximum amount of damage. In TBC, however, things change. All direct damaging spells, not ground effects, so Flame Strike ground effect, Consecration ground effect, etc., have an AoE cap, which means that they have a maximum amount of damage they can do to, however many mobs there are. And so the way it works is, let's just say Blizzard has a static damage cap of like 10,000 damage. You would take 10,000 damage divided by the mobs that you are hitting. It also has a minimum or a maximum damage cap for individual mobs as well, so it's not like you could just do 10,000 damage to one mob or something like that. But what this leads to is basically a situation in which, depending on your spell power, you're going to hit AoE cap at between 7 and 10 mobs typically. So more spell power will not help you and not push your AoE cap further, so you're doing more damage. It'll actually just help you reach the AoE cap quicker. So we've run into a situation where the most important stats for mages becomes Intellect, MP5, and things like in Spirit, rather than actually spell power moving forward into TBC. Intellect's obviously still king, stamina is still great, but we're going to run into situations where it doesn't really matter if you have, crazy amounts of spell power like plus 1000 or anything like that, because you're actually going to be doing the same amount of damage with Blizzard if you're killing a bunch of different mobs at once. So we're going to go over ZF in two parts. There's two different ways to pull it, as I said before. There's the Flame Strike, Cone of Cold strategy, and there is the Blizzard strategy. We're going to start off with the Blizzard strategy and see how the AoE cap impacts this. Now, Blizzard strategy takes a little bit longer to set up, and so typically it was better because you could just mow down mobs with Blizzard. It was a little bit safer. You didn't need to worry about, the Cone of Cold cutting strategy, but it's going to be a lot different with the AoE cap. And so here we can see the Blizzard strategy get started. We Flame Strike, Counter Spell, and I have a full guide for this strategy if you guys want to check it out on my YouTube channel as well. You can run through. But what I'm curious about is, because we're killing about 50 mobs, normally at level 60, you could just mow down these mobs. It takes about 3 minutes to mow down every single one of these mobs, and it doesn't really matter too much, about mana conservation. However, I'm thinking with 50 mobs, we're going to do roughly 1/5 of the damage that we normally would do. And so it's going to take about 5 times as long to kill the mobs. So you can see here, we're ticking for about 60 damage a tick with Blizzard. Now on the beta, bear in mind that you have, a Blizzard tick of roughly 200 damage because Blizzard does get amplified a little bit. But you can see here, even as we pop Xanalar and Hero Charm, which should increase our spell power, the Blizzard still stays at 60, so we can confirm that the AoE cap, even with additional spell power, does not increase the damage that we're going to do. So it looks like from a damage perspective, we're doing about 1 divided by 3.5, right, times the amount of damage. And so it's going to take a little bit longer to kill the mobs, and so I'm thinking maybe we could do a Flame Strike strat. Flame Strike strat could definitely work, and you could do it this way. Ultimately, what I determined is that at level 60, you're probably... You're probably still able to just mow through the mobs. You can use the Flame Strike strat if you would like, and you can mow through the mobs. But with Evocate and everything like that, you should be able to take out the mobs pretty quickly as well, and so you probably don't need to worry too much either way. Flame Strike is nice if you have Blade of Eternal Darkness, though, because what you can do is you can do, a slow Blizzard, drop the Flame Strike, hit them all with the Flame Strike, and then as they're coming around the corner right there, also hit them with the Blizzard as well, so they're getting the maximum damage from the Flame Strike dot because it doesn't have an AoE cap, and then you also are able to get the damage off from the Blizzard and save a little bit of mana because you're using rank 1 Blizzard to start. So In TBC, if you wanted to continue to farm this, the strategy would probably be drop the rank 1 Blizzard, drop the Flame Strike, and then have the Blizzard coming to you with the max rank Blizzard. However, you will likely want to have Blade of Eternal Darkness from Princess if you're going to do that strategy. Highly recommend getting that regardless, because it's going to be very useful in a lot of different AoE pools. As you can see, though, this is definitely taking a lot longer than it normally would. I think my fastest full run, including graveyard openings and everything like that, is roughly 3 minutes and 40 seconds. And so we're already up to close to 6 minutes just jumping back and forth with these Blizzards. We've already gone through Evocate, and we're still getting close to running out of mana. And so the farm's definitely different. It's much different than it currently is on Classic. It takes about 5 minutes, 52 seconds, so an extra 2 minutes. Doesn't really matter because we're still going to hit lockout, so as far as a gold per hour threshold, doesn't matter too much. But there is one impact to think of, and that is doing this at level 42. So obviously, you know, here we are able to do this a little bit more efficiently because we're level 60, but at 42, we're going to have a lot less mana. Our Blizzards are going to do a lot less, and we're not going to have any kind of MP5 gear. We're not going to have as much spirit. And I honestly don't know whether or not the ZF farm will be possible at level 42. The way it may be possible, though, is the Flame Strike Cone of Cold strategy, or doing one section at a time. So obviously we're currently pulling all the graves at once. We're killing all the mobs at one time. But if we were to pull one section of the graves maybe and then kill them with the Blizzard strat, or 2 at most maybe, I think we could still pull this off at 42, but we probably won't see the same kind of crazy leveling speeds that we did see before. Should still be pretty good. Paladins, on the other hand, will be able to still do all the packs at once, because for Pallies, Consecrate isn't affected. And so if anything, it's actually be faster because they can get spell power gear and then do more damage with Consecrate. After the Blizzard strategy, though, I wanted to go back in there and I wanted to try the Flame Strike Cone of Cold Arcane Explosion strategy. This is the, prototypical mage AoE farming strategy where you round up a bunch of mobs, Cone of Cold and Arcane Explosion, and just kite them around in a circle. Once you get used to it, it's pretty easy, but it does take a little bit of getting used to. If you're starting to do this for the first time, what I really recommend trying to do is trying to focus on leeway. Leeway is basically a mechanic in which if 2 mobs are at motion, yourself and another mob, they are able to hit you from a further distance. That distance is halved if you are backpedaling. And so what you're going to see with a lot of different mages is what they do is they Flame Strike Cone of Cold and then backpedal to get them into a little bit more of a compact line and then start going around in a strafing circle. What that does is has half leeway activated until they get them into a good position, and then once they are in a good position, they're not worried about getting hit, and so they start strafing to make it a little bit easier to Cone of Cold kite. So that's what you're about to see here. So here we go, we round up all the mobs. Typically, I don't recommend starting the boss aggro before you pull the mobs if you're going to do the strategy, because you're going to get hit pretty hard right there. Fortunately, with the batching changes on the beta, I don't get hit too badly there, so I just lose my shield, nothing crazy. But you could definitely potentially get one shot if you do that with the current classic setup because of batching and leeway. But you just round up all the mobs. I like to run over to the side here and then kind of get them to stack with this little side room and then kill them in the main open area. It's pretty easy. You can take them out pretty easily, but Arcane Explosion is affected by the Aoe Cap. Interestingly, though, Arcane Explosion's AoE Cap was changed before 2.4.3 to do a little bit more damage, so Arcane Explosion doesn't look like it's affected as much as some of the other abilities like Blizzard. So here you're going to be able to see me. I completely forgot to do Flame Strike, so I just start off with Cone of Cold, backpedal, go into a strafe circle, but you can see that Arcane Explosion is still hitting pretty well, like 150 a mob, even though we have all these mobs, is honestly pretty good. And so that is about what our Blizzard used to tick for. So with Blade of Eternal Darkness constantly feeding us back mana, we're never going to run out of mana, and honestly it becomes trivial with this strategy. Here we go for the Flame Strikes. You can see we get the extra damage off with the Flame Strike, and honestly, if you have Blade of Eternal Darkness, Flame Striking, Cone of Cold, and Arcane Explosion, you can do this run much, much faster than you can do the Blizzard strategy now. So I would honestly highly recommend switching to the strategy. As far as at level 42, the hard part with this strategy is that if you get some resists, which is a decent chance because some of these mobs can go as high as level 46 as dead heroes, if you get some resists, you're going to run into some issues with you know, the mobs staying compact and everything like that. But overall, at level 60, it's very easy to farm these guys. About 5 minutes for this section of the run. Farm is definitely still possible, but at 42, it's going to get really interesting. All right, everyone, that wraps up today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, please subscribe and leave a like and a comment below to let me know so. And if you guys have any other ideas for any other videos, please let me know in the comments below. Also, check out the description for the Twitch, where I do all this live, and also for my Twitter and Discord, where you guys can be notified of any future updates and when I'm going to go live on stream. So I'll see you guys in the next video.